You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Vince Space with Chris Connor. I am your host, as always. Checking in with y'all, man, after another Pelicans week. Since we last spoke, Zion Williamson has a hamstring strain, out probably a month plus. Still waiting on Brandon Ingram's return. Pelicans are currently third in the West by about a couple games and a half. Yeah, 2.5 games, I think, last time I checked. And have a very tough stretch of games upcoming the next week or so, starting with Brooklyn on Friday. But man, during this period of time, it's put the spotlight on a particular individual named CJ McCollum. And that's what the show's about. If you don't know, CJ McCollum has never made an All-Star team in his career. And there's been a few dope articles, pieces, videos that I've watched lately. Shout out to Dotson over with the Bird Scoop, who wrote an article about CJ and possibly making an All-Star team. And our own Five here at Buku Media was one of the first that I saw to tweet about him being an All-Star. It was a quote tweet, I believe, but I'm sure others have done it. But it was one of the first that I maybe paid attention to. And it got me thinking, it feels like for the first time in CJ's career, and he's had better statistical years even than this, while his numbers have kind of ironically been to the surprise of some who have watched this year, his numbers have gotten pretty much back to where they always have been. The only thing that is down a little bit, points per game a little bit different depending on the year. But the only thing that's really taken a dip, so to speak, is his field goal percentage. But outside of that, CJ, he's back to shooting the best free throw percentage that he shot in a couple years, since I think 2020. Three-point percentage has climbed back up there to close to 40%. He's rebounding at a higher clip, and I think he's been a little bit more active defensively, and the numbers are showing that as well. But in the Western Conference, man, we know how this goes, and we know how All-Star voting goes, period. So let's take a look at something real quick. So if you look here, you can see the guards that are currently ahead of him. You're going to find some guards up there that you're going to laugh at. I'm going to let y'all decide who's who. That's the early competition of the first returns, the first ballots of fan voting. And to make it clear, fans account for 50% of the voting. You have current NBA players that account for 25%, and they share the other 25% with the media. So what you see now, man, Austin Reeves is not making a All-Star team. It's not happening, but plays for the Lakers, plays for Los Angeles, and is having a pretty good year. This is what happens. But we've seen this in past years with the likes of Zaza Pachulia. I think the first person that comes to mind who was actually close to being a starter voted in by the fans, I think 4 or 5 years back. But that will level out as time goes forward. But that leads us to CJ. What has CJ done? It's interesting, he got off to a rough start. I think October he was shooting like 29% from three. The field goal percentage was rough. He was trying to find himself. He looked like a guy that was playing himself into shape. Then he slowly started to find himself again. Then he catches COVID. He's out for a decent stretch, and then he's playing I think it was a couple weeks of just getting that conditioning, getting his legs back all over again. That's the kind of start that he had, along with kind of figuring out how to play with Zion. And in the 10 games that he played with Brandon and Zion together next to him, figuring out how that was going to go as well. But his last 10 games, you've seen him really hit another level, the level of the guy that was brought to New Orleans, the guy who wanted the spotlight, the guy who compared himself or compared to what he hoped his career could look like ending in New Orleans to a Drew Brees. And his last 10 games, man, I said Drew Brees, right? Hey, of course, he got to win a championship. There's a bunch of things there. But the spotlight is all his with Zion and Brandon being out. Let me correct that. Somebody going to look at this video and say, oh, Chris said he's going to be the next Drew. I ain't say that. But CJ's last 10 games, 46% from the field, 51% from three, 82% from the free throw line on 26 points per game, almost 7 assists and 4 rebounds. Shout out to Propels Talking Justin for putting that tweet together. That's what he's been doing. And you can tell, man. I mean, yo, look at this. Tell me what the hell this is.
Use that expression on him. It'll be CJ. I love on the run.
What is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like those were shots that earlier in the year CJ couldn't get to go. He was second guessing. They would hit the front of the rim. He's just in a different, like his body's in a different place right now. The confidence is there. The pace is there. And I think he's making a jump, man. And when you look at, if you had to vote today and the injury, a few guys outside of the ones that we know aren't making it, a few guys that was on that list, that all-star list so far for guards, are also battling injuries and will end up playing themselves or probably sitting out the All-Star game, which is gonna be, I think, here within about a month. And look, man, I think that you gotta take a look. There are about 21 games over the next 6 weeks, and we know the respect that coaches have for CJ around the league. We know that the media have some of the players. And really, Dotson's article, you can again check that out with the Bird Scoop. He mentions that closest CJ's really come to an All-Star game is 3-point contest in 2016 and 2017. He has a lot of numbers that you go through his career, you would guess he made an All-Star team, but he hasn't. But now he has an opportunity on a team that has garnered some spotlight, partially due to him arriving and his media influence. The team's been winning, third in the West. Were held first in the West a couple times to start the year. And look, man, he's been next to Jonas Valanciunas. He's been the dude that's been most available. Jonas, I think, has, if my numbers are right here correctly, Jonas has started 38 games. CJ's 4 games below him at 34. So, Zion started 29 and Brandon's only been able to play 15. So CJ's been the constant. He's been the guy there. And, it's very interesting that, I think his numbers and where they've rounded themselves back to will surprise some. And look, everything is pointing his direction. We don't know when Brandon's going to come back. We don't know how long it's going to take Zion to come back. But if this team continues to win, if they continue to take care of the game they're supposed to and win a couple of them, that maybe they're not favored in, like, Brooklyn coming up. I'm sure there'll be underdogs against Dallas. They have Washington, Miami, and there's some other games that I'm missing here coming up, which are going to be interesting. But this is where that depth comes into play, and all eyes are going to be on CJ. It's going to be interesting to see how he responds. And wait, hold up.
I think we can safely say you're past COVID now.
I had to throw that in there. You don't even get to the point to what we're talking about his last 10 games without that, man. But yeah, so, and a part of this stretch that CJ's been on, he broke a record.
A 3-ball. Got it! New team record.
I know y'all want to see that Herb pose again. Hold on, dog. Yo, man, Herb something else. But yeah, man, 42 points, breaking team records, finding his legs back, a chance to really lead this team. And an offense is going to be going through him until we at least see Brandon come back here first, man. And, we'll see what type of conversations if Brandon's able to put a stretch of games together, does that somehow lead him into the All-Star team if this team stays in this third, if they are able to get up higher to second or first? I mean, there's a lot of interesting All-Star game questions now. I mean, Zion Williamson was easily penciled in as a starter. That wasn't a doubt. But what happens with him now if you don't possibly see him until after the All-Star break? It just feels like right now that the way that the cards are aligned, some of the injuries that are in the West, and the way that this team is playing, different role guys stepping up every night and winning some of these games, it feels like this might be one of CJ, if not, let's just say the best opportunity he's had to date when it comes to making an All-Star team. So I did want to give some love there. And also, hey, Zion, what did you think about the night that CJ broke that record?
I thought he might have hit like 7. When they said 11, I was like, you know what? He has been on one.
Get healthy, big dog. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all. I appreciate y'all coming up, man. As always, this show is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. It's brought to you by the good people at New York Life, as well as the folks at Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Buku Media, located at 918 Poitras Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know has been involved in an accident, and be sure to mention we sent you. I'll get up with y'all soon. Check in with us on Playback. Check in with us on these recaps. Check in with all the original content that we got coming out as individuals and as a squad. But you know how we get out of here.
In the building. I told you last time, get with us or get out of here, man.